why did I become a Muslim? And why does it matter for other people? Well, I was born Muslim, but in Islam, we like to say we revert because we like to say that everyone is born Muslim. And even as like an adult, even just being born in Islam doesn't automatically mean you're a Muslim, but you end up finding your faith later on in life, which is what happened to me. I basically, long story short, I grew up. Uh, I'm American. I grew up in America, which Western civilization is pretty liberal. So, and a common story up until recently, I guess, a lot of people my age maybe they weren't really religious. And if you do see people around my age or younger or a little older, they usually became religious later in life. They weren't really religious growing up. Like some people were, but I think the vast majority found it more in their 20s, maybe late teens, maybe early 30s. That's sort of a common story with Gen Z, maybe early millennials and or no, late millennials or whatever. But yeah, so that's a long story short. I am born into a Muslim family. Although I was never religious, I I was never religious at all. And yeah, so I just kind of went with the flow of things. Basically, I was going to, mosque and Eid and celebrating Ramadan, not fasting, but just celebrating it. Never praying. I learned how to pray when I was younger and I took Arabic classes, but I forgot kind of probably soon after. And yeah, so I wasn't really religious. I did pretty much the bare minimum. And I think that, yeah, there's people walking next to me, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I used to turn off the video and stop talking, but now I don't care. Because the message is important and it's bringing more value than not. So, yeah, I was doing the bare minimum, but I guess later in life, and I've talked about this before, I like, what do you call it? I really did not like I had an extreme fear of death, right? And what's going to happen after. And I think that's a reasonable fear to have, but it's irrational to constantly be afraid of it. And at some certain point, I became constantly afraid of death. Not dying, but just what comes after. And I don't know why, it never clicked to me that Islam, would be like something that would cure that. But, you know, just to give you some context, I was looking into other religions, Buddhism for a very tiny bit, but mostly Christianity. I really felt there was something in Christianity that was kind of pulling me towards it. And I did a lot of research and I even I talked to people who are Christian. I even, I talked to a lot of people who are Christian. A close friend of mine was a pastor. I've mentioned that before, and he taught me a lot, and I really, a lot of it made sense. But then later I really, and this was very recently, like I'm talking a month, maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months max, I started getting into Islam and all this and all that. And part of the reason I've been doing that is first, a lot of the people I follow on YouTube, Instagram, social media, um, a lot of them are Muslim, and they, you know, whether or not they teach it or preach it, they are living as Muslims. So I really, I was like, okay, that was one thing. And just seeing them, and I think this is honestly the point, but seeing like how strong they were in their faith, how much they loved the religion, all this and all that. And then obviously that's going to, kind of inspire me to be more religious. So I was at a crossroads now between Islam and Christianity. And I'm like, which one is the truth? And I was learning about Muhammad, peace be upon him, and seeing like the miracle of the Quran and how he created it or transcribed, or, he was the messenger for it and he was illiterate. And just looking into it more and more, you can really have a hard time, like, kind of, like, let me say this more simply. Hyper skeptics will have a hard time disputing this religion of Islam. And although a lot of people act like they've already disputed it, they've already, proved it wrong, all this and all that, there's something when you become a Muslim and you understand the arguments and you understand the religion and the logic of it, that when people do try to dispute it or deny it or all this and all that, and you can see that a lot of the time they're very arrogant about it. And that arrogance is obviously kind of a satanic trait, being arrogant, being prideful. So in that kind of, when you're arrogant, obviously, you're as far away from God as possible, right? In my opinion. And I think, I'm not a scholar, but I think that's true in the religion. If you're being prideful and arrogant, why would God want to be, with you? Or, why would you have that sort of connection with God if you're acting like that or having that mindset, right? So that's why you tend to see a lot of people who reject Islam and they just kind of mischaracterize the evidences and the religion itself. You can see there's satanic qualities about those people. And not trying to disrespect anyone. I love everyone, obviously. But I'm just, stating objectively, when you see people like even if I don't believe in Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity or Judaism, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm going to show respect for everyone, right? Obviously. I'm going to show respect, and I'm not going to belittle anyone for their faith. I'm not going to go on their videos and social media posts and all this and comment my opinion and my beliefs, because that's very, that's arrogant, right? That's extremely arrogant. And if you look at my videos, it's just a lot of people who kind of have those qualities. There's some that kind of, they're more respectful, curious, but the rest of them are, you could sense the arrogance. And if you're watching this and if I'm describing you, I would say look within yourself first and see what you're objectively doing, like from an outside perspective, what would it seem like you're doing by commenting on someone else's religious videos where they're not even talking bad about anyone or anything. They're just, talking about themselves and their journey, and you feel the need to kind of push your faith on them. It's like, is that really going to do anything? What's that really going to do, You're just kind of like speaking to yourself at that point, being like a jerk, right? If you're being respectful, that's one thing, right? If you're just kind of wanting to have a conversation, wanting to, that's one thing. But if you're just like, your religion is like, this is the monologue I picture in your head. People are saying your religion is like trash and all this, and it's like, what can I do? That's your opinion. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to change my beliefs because you said it's like something mean? Like, what do you want from me? And it's like, so it's like, this is one of those things that it's like, it's not just like, learning a new language or whatnot. Like, you actually have, powerful forces working against you, whether spiritual, earthly, or, whether it's yourself. So I do want to share my experience there and my thoughts, because I know there's, obviously Islam is one of the fastest growing religions, and that's by design, in my opinion. God obviously, I think, wanted that to be the case. That's why he made it rigid religion as well as simple, so that, like, if you're teaching your kids a lesson, teaching them about life and all that, you want to teach them from a young age, and you don't want to make it like you're not trying to teach them astrophysics, right? You're trying to teach them what's right and what's wrong, and not from your own feelings and emotions, from what God says, right? And I'm not the most religious person. I don't even think I'm going to be continuing making religious content for like the long term. I'm just interested in it right now, and I see a lot of people are resonating. That's why I'm making these videos. But for the long term, I don't know if I'm going to be making all these type of videos. I do want to make videos about like learning a language. I'm really trying to contemplate. I've always wanted to learn Spanish, and I've taken it for so many years in school, but it never really stuck with me. So I kind of want to just like fulfill my, something I've been doing for such a long time, and I put so much hours in. Might as well try to go through with it. But then also now, since I've found Islam, Arabic is kind of, looking like an attractive religion for me to learn. So I don't know if you guys have an opinion on that. If you've watched up to this part of the video, please let me know in the comments what you think about that. Should I even learn a language, or should I just learn du'as and prayers and Quran verses and all that? So let me know. I'm still learning how to pray, and maybe that's a good thing I can leave off with. I just, like, a couple of days ago I started learning the tashud. I really don't know how to pronounce it. It's like when you're it's on the second rakat, when you're sitting down. So let me try to, it's not going to be good, but let me try to recite it. Attahiyatu lillahi wassalawatu wattayyibatu assalamu alayka assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillah iswallahin wa ashadu la ilaha illallah wa ashadu anna muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Hey, that was pretty good. That's not bad. Let me know how that was. That's pretty good. I literally just memorized that yesterday. But yeah, that's it, guys. See you guys next time. Peace.